From very early on after we met, she started asking me, and I wanted to read her plays. And I read Passionaria and liked it very much. And we did it in the January of the miners' strike, 85. It was a wonderful rehearsal period. There's songs in it as well. Some of Pam's lyrics were wonderful for that. And I was very proud of the production. The Spanish press came, and that was one. And we got a message from Passionaria herself, which was great. It was certainly important to me because it was part of my transition as a director into working with script and set and actors in a very much more fluid and very non-naturalistic way. So it's very important to me. It was a wonderfully political script in a way that the English don't like. Very not strident in a nasty way, just strongly pro the struggle of Passionaria and the working class against the fascists and against oppression. People always say, oh, politics is very complicated. Actually, it's very simple where your affiliations lie and where you want to empower people or disempower people. And Pam was very good at putting that at the core of what she was saying. It was a piece I was very proud of. And sad it's never been done again, actually. It should be done again. The despair of my life is there are two wonderful plays. Winter Love, which is a three-hander, about the other, really, about being the other, and about platonic love, and about resisting materialism. And Dispatches, which is, I think, her 21st century version of Du Fisch das Weih. It's about the gap between men and women. And it's also about a maverick interloper who comes from Russia. It's very funny, and it's so sharp politically, about gender politics and national politics as well. And it's taking me forever to get them on. I hope to manage it before I die, but it's very hard. That people are not, at the moment, people are not clamouring to do her work, which is such a shame. So she takes something which is perhaps the essence of that person, or something which is part of their iconography, and then she makes a play about that. They're not biopics, they're not bioplays. No way are they accurate, this and this and this happened. They're about the ideas and the struggles that those people exemplify, sometimes in a romanticised way, like with Garibaldi. And with Passionaria as well, very romanticised. I don't know why she did that, but she loved to do it. She did it with Marlena as well. She took these people and used them to say what she wanted to say about either the political situation they were in or the struggle that they had to. For example, Piaf, she says a lot about female friendship. She says a lot about the male-female relationship, but she also says a lot about female friendship. Queen Christina is so much about the condition of the intellectual woman, the woman who is not as she is supposed to be. It's very strange because you're quite right. She was but produced both by RSC and the National. But there always seemed to be a feeling from Pam, and I think it's a correct feeling, that they did her work despite her being her. Howard Davis always used to say he made Piaf. Pam had a not very happy relationship with him. He directed Piaf. Pam wrote it. He didn't make it. And Piaf has withstood the test of time, and it's a very early piece of hers. Penny will be able to tell you more about Queen Christina and the RSC. And then, of course, there was Camille with the RSC, and then Stanley with the National, and then many translations. Her translations of Chekhov are fantastic, really fantastic. But, for example, when Pam died, I wrote to Nicholas Heitner to say that there were 2 plays of Pam still that needed to be done, dispatches, and he didn't even ask to read them. Now the National had benefited greatly from Stanley, from her Seagull, from her Uncle Vanya. I can't think of a male playwright of Pam's status where, if they had died and you wrote to say there are 2 plays that have not been done, where the artistic director of that institution would have not immediately wanted to read them. I think she was... It's a strange... Perhaps it's a British thing, an English thing. She wrote for audiences to enjoy themselves. She's a great writer, but she also writes for audiences to enjoy themselves. And there seems to be a bit of nose up in the air about her as a writer from the institutions because of that. She's so led, she's so funny, and they don't honour her. My hope is that eventually, with work like yours, or if there's that she will be honoured. Actors do. When actors read her plays, they find the texture that is in them. So it's a paradox. It's a paradox that they did do her work because in the main they were successful. People came to see them, but they didn't treat her like a Tom Stoppard or a David Hare or whatever, with the reverence that she deserves. The English, it's class. It's class. She's not Carol Churchill. Carol is very upper class. I think writes quite pretentiously, sometimes banally. I don't want to put her down. There's some good plays, etc. Pam is a kind of her own person with her own view. She didn't network a lot. And at the centre, apart from Nelson and Garibaldi, at the centre of her plays are always women from difficult or working class backgrounds, or men from equivalent backgrounds. And I think it's her mix of writing, I think great writing, but for a popular audience, that the English theatre establishment and academe don't know what to do with. They don't know what to do with it. And it makes me angry. We all want recognition because that allows us to do our work. But she wasn't a member of circles that meet up together. She very rarely went to do's. She just wrote. And she was, well, you've seen her picture. She looked like a fat, plain, I don't mean that nastily because I loved the way she looked. And she was treated like a fat, plain nonentity without a brain. And she had the most incisive brain I have ever come across. She was a real intellect, and that is very rarely recognized in her work. She doesn't yell out, I am clever. Clever is low level. You don't want clever in theatre. You want real wisdom, real intellect, and real emotion that comes from the belly. And she had those. And it's very rarely acknowledged. Look at Joan Littlewood. The same qualities. Never really honoured in this country. We're fucked. We're fucked by our class, with our obsession with class. Excuse my language. And I think Pam suffered from it. There was one thing that was very, very nice about... What was great about her was that she could override her sense of the unfairness of the way the theatre world treated her. And yet she still had that consciousness that she wasn't regarded as she knew she was a good writer. I don't mean in like she was big-headed or whatever. She knew she was a writer and that she could write, and she had the feel for words and what's underneath words and so on. And she knew that she wasn't regarded as she should be. And there was a mix of not giving a damn about it because she just kept on writing, and niggling resentment that she didn't get what she was due from the establishment.